Three, two, one, and we are live. All right, thank you for joining us. We will start here very soon. Welcome everyone to our Emotional Intelligence for the Workplace seminar. So, we will be conducting this seminar for about an hour. This will also be activity oriented. So if you can please go ahead, just grab some papers and pens and pencils. For near the end, we will have a process. My name is Joshua Marcos Munoz. I am a clinical hypnotherapist and mind discipline coach. I will be presenting the first section of this seminar, and then Dr. Gunjan Sharma, teacher and art therapy practitioner, will be also sharing her input and a process involving the pen and paper that you are gathering. So let's go ahead and move forward. So let's get right into it. What is emotional intelligence? Well, really, we've all pretty much heard quite well what cognitive intelligence is, right? The IQ, the intelligent quotient. And what this seminar is about is emotional intelligence, EQ or EI. So it's our ability to understand and regulate our emotions, how to basically effectively navigate our relationships in the workplace with ourselves and others. And like I mentioned, IQ is a factor in our lives, and it's measured through certain tests, and it really doesn't vary much in our lifetime. We're pretty much set with the IQ that we are born with. It might go up slightly or go down slightly during our lifetime, but it's pretty much set. But EQ, or EI, emotional intelligence, is something more dynamic. We're able to actually increase it with proper guidance, the right information, and dedicated practice. So at the workplace, increasing our emotional intelligence will enable us to be able to handle our stresses more easily, communicate more clearly, and resolve all our conflicts with one another, and hopefully also inspire others by showing how in control we are with ourselves and how we navigate other people's emotions. It's been shown through various studies that leaders with higher emotional intelligence have easier abilities to navigate the workplace and are just overall better liked. We want to do this to foster more collaboration and create more positive work. It allows us to be more adaptable in changing environments, to be able to hold ourselves in any place with more empathy, more composure, and allow us to be noticed in our workplace with positivity. So why is this important? This is important because it can really just make you stand out when you're dealing with decisions and the pressure of everyday work. It allows us to show our leadership ability, to be able to hold space for others and knowing what to say, how to say it, and just be better liked. It will decrease your occupational stress, and more importantly, for businesses of any size, help us reduce staff turnover by enabling to create an environment internally and externally that is more favorable and conducive. So the 4 pillars of emotional intelligence include self-awareness. So first we'll be talking about how to take things as they come and recognize what our emotions are, moment to moment, whenever a situation arises. So to be able to have words or definitions that help narrow down and make more specific what we're feeling in any given moment will allow us to choose our response instead of moving and reacting. So the very first step is self-awareness. So it's critical that when we are in any stressful environment, as workplaces can be, we allow ourselves to be aware of what's going on the inside. The second step is self-regulation. So then learning to manage those emotions, to be able to change in any circumstance, and to be able to respond instead of react. So there's a space between our perception of a situation and our reaction to it. So observing and controlling those reactions is a key element in emotional intelligence. The third step is social awareness, or the empathy. So first we interact, then we get awareness of our emotions, we regulate them, and then we notice how we start to interact with others, or others interacting with us. So it's really about understanding other people's emotions and being able to read the subtle cues that we all exhibit. Then going through the social skills, relationship awareness, how we build and maintain our relationships with one another. So this is the action aspect of emotional intelligence. So once we get to this level, we learn how to effectively communicate and come across with another person, either an employee or a superior, a manager, or a boss, so that there's more coherent understanding. And so whenever you are in any situation in your workplace, you want to be able to follow through those 4 pillars. So what makes us act? It's a very interesting question. If you think about it, mostly what arises is our feelings. Whatever we're feeling at the moment will create a thought. And so let's say you're at the workplace, you're having a meeting, and you suddenly feel hungry, right? That hunger will drive the impetus to have a thought, to have an image. Oh, the sandwich that's coming up here at lunch hour. And so then those thoughts will eventually move you towards your behavior, your actions, right? And then those actions will reinforce more feelings, different feelings, which then create other thoughts. So this loop, this cycle, is what we're trying to become more aware of in ourselves in any situation, and especially in the workplace. So as we continue to do this, we want to become aware of the emotional hygiene aspect, how to create positive thoughts when we choose to, how to create healthy boundaries, and know where your limits are, and allow yourself to be clear with your intentions, and to foster and create a friendly mind. For that's very important in EQ, is to be able to recognize our inner saboteurs, right? Those parts of ourselves that are not always working towards our higher goals, and how to create a mind that is working with us and for us. And so that brings me to one of my first suggestions. We've all heard of the rule, the golden rule, at least most of us have, of treating others how we like to be treated. And oftentimes, that is helpful and it's nice, but I want to introduce you to the platinum rule of treating others how they like to be treated. So it's more like putting yourself in their situation, in their position, and knowing what they need at any given moment so that you're able to create an interactive feeling of empathy. So remember this. When you're going through a situation that is tough for another person or yourself, just realize, how do you feel they want to be treated? And then you can act accordingly to be able to better navigate the situation. So this brings us to a first step, in that all feelings are valid, and that all emotions are valid. So there's no wrong emotion, there's no right emotion, there's no good emotion, there's no bad emotion. They're all just valid signals that our body is telling our mind about the situation. And they may not always correlate with the reality of the situation. We may also be sometimes overreacting with our feeling. So it's all about regulation. And that starts with whatever is coming up in the moment, is to name that feeling. So if there's frustration going on, you want to be able to say, okay, I am feeling frustrated, and accept it. So first is awareness, then comes acceptance, then comes action. So be aware of these steps. They're important, because sometimes when we're reacting, we go to action first. Then we start noticing our feeling. So this is more of a mindful practice of getting to know yourself from within, taking a balanced approach, right, to how we work with others when we reach the level of relationship awareness. The first is self-awareness. So some suggestions when moving forward. We want to have strong first impressions. Many studies have shown that within the first 7 seconds of meeting anyone, we start to decide at a subconscious level whether we like them or like it, or whether they like us or like whatever the situation is showing up as. So basically using an enthusiastic tone and basically being present and curious about what the other person is talking about is pretty important. Uncrossing your arms, leaning into the person, just making yourself more available and listening to what they're actually saying. There's a difference between listening and hearing. So we want to be able to listen in deeply. And again, the platinum rule of putting ourselves in the position of somebody else, and how do they want to be treated. So generally you want to have palms open, positive body language, and how you say things is often more important than what you say. So being genuine, being curious, and I think that's the key word here, is curiosity. When you're speaking with someone, and especially in a sales negotiation situation, you want to be in a space where you feel like they are genuinely perceiving you as authentic, as real, right? So building relationships We want to ask good questions. We want to have that curiosity, right? Looking for the good in others. Again, open postures, open arms. You don't want to cross your arms in front of people who you're trying to create a rapport with. You want to look them in the eyes. You want to have your feet pointing towards them. And when in small groups, you can also notice when there's perhaps some laughter or a joke being said or mentioned, who looks at who. And this will generally tell you who is most trusting with the other person. And if you can try to foster some eye connections, this is helpful. And also, being able to listen and being quiet goes a long ways. So, just general things like nodding your head, being personable. These are all part of emotional intelligence techniques. So as we are navigating life and business, there's always a difficulty with one situation or one person. And so we want to be able to reduce the stress. Because see, the stress that we are encountering it doesn't allow us to think clearly. So it kind of creates this vicious cycle of feeling stressed, not thinking clearly, and then it causing more stress, and then causing a cascade of more foggy mind. So we're going to try to beat this stress and stay calm with certain techniques, like just cultivating an attitude of gratitude. So in any given situation, look at the positive angles of the situation, and even simply just remembering something positive in your past, like a vacation, having a good time with loved ones, or one's pet, or one's hobby. Even if the environment is stressful, internally, you get to choose how you deal with that. So when dealing with toxic people, make sure to know where your boundaries are. Don't compromise with your own respect. You don't have to be putting down anyone else as well. But before any tough conversation, know where your limits are, know what you want to say, and don't allow the conversation to escape with side topics that you are not as interested to focus on. So positive inner phrases build inner resilience. So here's an example for me. As a hypnotherapist, I understand the power of suggestion, of words, and the words we tell ourselves. So in public speaking, similar to this seminar, I've had to work on creating a power phrase, an internal sort of phrase that helps me tap into a feeling of presence and confidence. So whenever I start a speech or I get into a situation where I have to present anything, I have this power phrase that I've repeated to myself. Clear, confident, and concise communication. And so I practice this phrase, clear, confident, concise communication, over and over on paper. I even record it. And I get into a nice, relaxed state of mind, and I repeat this clear, confident, and concise communication. And in doing so, it brings me back and it grounds me because it's kind of like a program. And whenever I get in a situation where I feel nervous or overly self-conscious, I repeat this phrase and it grounds me and it brings me back to a situation where I felt clear, confident, and concise with my communication. So we're going to go forward now, and when we're in a triggered state, we can always have the opportunity to change our environment. So even if it's at work and, you know, anger arises because of somebody who said something, you can always leave the room temporarily, say you're taking a break, and we're going to show you and talk to you about this breath work process called box breathing that can enable you to ground yourself with a power phrase, right? So clear, calm, and collected is an example. So repeating that over in your mind, clear, calm, and collected. And then breathing in this pattern that I'm going to demonstrate now. So by breathing within 4-second intervals, as shown in many studies to be very effective at activating the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is that aspect of our nervous system that is regulating our rest and digest. So it's well known that when we are in the parasympathetic system, that our blood is flowing towards our vital organs, our digestion, and we're not experiencing any extreme levels of cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So, in essence, what we want to do is breathe in 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then breathing out for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we hold it at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just like a box, we breathe in this fashion. And it's quite incredible how quickly you can go from a state of agitation or anger, frustration, anxiety, and it will down-regulate those nerves. So box breathing is getting more and more well-known within many circles of coaching and therapies. So go ahead and try it out. You give yourself the opportunity to breathe for 4 seconds at every interval between the inhalation and the exhalation. You can just count to yourself silently. And just like that, 4-second intervals, breathing in, holding, breathing out, holding. And it's amazing how effective this is. So once you've recognized how to calm down, how to change your environment when you choose to, in any situation, then you can just look inside and introspect. How is that situation making me feel, right? The first step is self-awareness. Once we have that self-awareness, then we can move into self-regulation. And then social awareness. How are others going to be interacting with each other and myself? And what's the relationship? Right? The relationship awareness. And so to hold yourself in such a space where you're curious about your own feelings is very critical to emotional intelligence. So we're going to be moving forward here, and Dr. Gunjan will take it away with this next section of the seminar, and then there's going to be another practice as well being involved.
Hello everyone, thank you Joshua for letting me take this interesting part of the session. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about some very interesting things with all of you. So, let me give a brief introduction about myself. Myself, Dr. Gunjan Sharma. I am a healthcare professional and I have an experience of around 14 years working in healthcare business management areas and healthcare education and training. So, I conduct modules for healthcare business management students where I teach them personal and collective growth based on the principles of organizational behavior management, industrial organization psychology, emotional intelligence via the medium of art therapy tools and archetypal psychology. So, as Joshua was telling you, how our behaviors occur as a response to what we feel, what we think. So, if we try to analyze our behavior, you can divide them into mainly grossly in three types. A slow behavior, a overactive behavior, and a balanced behavior. Now, the slow behavior type is where you procrastinate. You don't want to do things. Where you are like, putting off targets, not completing your goals, not trying to achieve your goals proactively, like a very delayed and slow response. And an overactive behavior is like, which is chaotic, a lot of things happening at the same time, too fast, where the things or the productivity, the quality of the work that you do is not that great. What we want to achieve is a balanced behavior, which is neither slow nor overactive. So, just to get this idea a little more clear, uh, I want you to look at the next slide. Here I have three pictures. So, just try to connect which of these pictures reflect the slow, the overactive, and the balanced behavior. Take your time. You can pause the video if you want and look at these three images. So, I hope you had made some connection about the types of behavior reflected through these images. So if we look at the middle picture, the picture in the center, where you're seeing a dusty table and someone is dusting it. Now there's quite some dust on that table. Do you see a lot of dirt there? So I would connect it with a slow behavior. Someone who is not proactive enough, or someone who is not balanced enough to clean their work area on time. Okay, so they were very slow. Probably this is a person who is very slow. That is disinterested in their work, procrastinates a lot, and look at the dust accumulated at the table. Now, if you look at the top right image, you can see a desk full of a lot of files, a lot of things littered here and there. So that for me represents an overactive behavior, chaos, lot of things happening at one time, right? And if you look at the picture on the bottom at the right, is the picture of a nice, clean desk, right? A work desk, which shows the balanced behavior of a person who balances, their environment, their work, their productivity. So basically, if you look at these pictures, they're just a symbolic representation. This is just to make you understand clearly the symptoms of slow, overactive, and balanced behavior. So, moving to the next slide, there are basically two aspects of workplace behavior. Either we can judge other people and environment, like Joshua must have spoke to you about like dealing with toxic people, difficult people, toxic environments. So where the behavior from other people is lacking. Now another part is about us, about myself, about each one of us individually. When we are problem, dealing with our own saboteurs, our own negative emotions and behavior, our own shadows, right? So that is the point. That is the aspect that I'll try to work on with you all in the session. So Joshua gave you some knowledge about or information about what do you do when you are surrounded in a toxic environment. How do you what are the practical steps that you can take? How do you manage your emotional strength? How do you take care of your own emotional resilience and strength to come over the toxic environment and people? But when we talk about myself, it is one of the most important areas, and mostly people are scared to get in there because it's difficult to look into other people's mistake and doing the dirty work. Cleaning our own dirty pond is not a easy work. And but I assure you, I'll tell you that it is one of the most difficult, but one of the most rewarding areas if we start working on it, because it gives immense confidence and growth, and it is one of the most important areas to grow. As a better person, as an emotionally intelligent person. Most of us think a lot about what is wrong in my workplace, what is wrong with the other people, how do I deal with them, but how many times do we focus on our own negative behavior patterns? So let's look into three examples here. So what you can see on your screen are six scenarios. I'll explain these to you one by one. So you can grab a pen and a paper, you can pause the video here, grab a pen and a paper, and let us look at these examples. So I hope you got your pen and paper. So you need to rate yourself. I'll take you through all these six examples, and you need to rate yourself from 1 to 5 on each of these scenarios. 1 being the least to 5 being the most. Okay. So the first scenario is anger, the emotion of anger leading to the behavior of destruction. Now, what do we mean by destruction? Destruction can be verbal, you know, destruction can also be physical violence, right? Destruction can be saying hateful words, hurting other people's feelings. Destruction also means hurting physical property, throwing things, actual physical destruction of things. So anger, the negative repercussion of anger, when it is not balanced or emotion, when a person is not emotionally intelligent to manage their anger, it comes out in form of a negative behavior, which leads to destruction. So I want you to think of a scenario in your life where you were not able to deal with uh, anger, and which led to destruction. I mean, let us try to think about how you are today. You might have been in a difficult place in your past, but let us try to see where you are today. So if you have to rate yourself from 1 to 5, like 1 being the least, no, I in the recent past I've never had this issue where my anger led to some destruction. That then you can score yourself 1, never. Least. Or if you have been into multiple scenario in the recent times where your anger actually led to destruction, where you were rude to others, you hurted other, you spoke some rude words to people which hurt their feelings, or you actually did a physical harm to things or people, then you can rate yourself 4 or 5. Okay, so just take some time, think about uh, if then in your recent past anger, the emotion of anger in you led to destruction, and rate yourself from 1 to 5. Okay. So you can take your time. You can pause the video, and as I go ahead, you can pause the video, and you can keep on thinking and writing and rating yourself. So let us now move to the scenario number 2, where fear leads to the emotion of fear leads to envy, jealousy, or excessive attachment. Now, how does fear lead to the behavior of envy, jealousy, or excessive attachment? Well, envy and jealousy are about uh, disliking someone else having something, or being fearful that someone will take away something that I have. Being insecure about your own position is something that leads to envy or jealousy. Excessive attachment is being too attached to something, a position, a designation, that I just want to be, this so and so called person at my workplace. Being excessively attached to your position and your designation at your workplace or your work role. So, well, change is inevitable in this world. We should always remember there will be people better than us. There are many people better than us, and there are people who are learning, who are trying to become like us. And there will be days when people will grow and they'll come to our level, and they will probably be sitting in our chair. So it's time for us to move on to another journey. Take another step ahead, and grow, and move to another designation or position. But When we are so much attached to our position and designation in our roles in our workplace, we get this inherent comfort of being attached to that role, and we don't want to grow, and we are just stuck there while other people around you are growing. They are doing inner work, they are doing a lot of skill development, and they will come closer to your chair. Believe me, they'll be like, okay, now it's time for you to go, and another person comes in that chair. But what about you? You will be feeling excessively attached. But an emotionally smart person constantly works on himself or herself, and they develop a pattern or a growth pattern or a growth or a career ladder path for themselves, where they know what is next for me after this. So the fear of not feeling enough, fear of change, fear of not, fear of hard work actually can lead to feelings of envy and jealousy. Where, so imagine a scenario where a junior person, much younger employee, gets promoted to a designation equal to you because of the hard work and the skills that they have, and you might start feeling envious and jealous of them, and that can lead to a lot of negative behavior. You can, start actually putting that person down, and believe me, um, we might not see it, but other people are able to see it when we start feeling jealous of other people. So what if you are surrounded by emotionally smart people? They will read you immediately. They'll know, okay, this person is just feeling jealous of this junior employee because they are very good at their skills. So imagine, I mean, sorry, not imagine, just think about if in your recent past, your hidden fears about your workplace have sometime made you feel envious, jealous, or excessively attached to your role. And yeah, rate yourself. If you never felt like that, give yourself one. I'm not saying give yourself zero, because I'm not denying the possibility that, every emotion is valid. We might feel a little bit of it, but the whole point is like, what was the repercussion? How bad you felt about it? Like how bad was your behavior? So if you felt nothing in your recent past, you can put a one. If it was very high, where you really went through tough time, feeling jealous, envious, or excessively attached to something, then give yourself a 4 or 5. So you can pause the video, think about it, and rate yourself. Okay, so now let's move to the scenario number 3, where sadness or pain leads to inactivity or detrimental activities or addiction. So sadness or pain can come from any source in our life. Uh, Sadness from our personal relationships, or in general, just being depressed, or just going through, a lot of issues in our own personal life or in workplace even, can lead to some kind of inner pain, which makes us procrastinate, where we don't work productively, or we start getting addicted. Because any addiction, it can be anything: eating disorder, addiction to eat things, emotional eating, or addicted to social media, scrolling on your screen, for many hours a day. All these addictions are a way of bypassing your pain. So what we're trying to do is unconsciously, is that we don't want to face that pain that we're going through. So we just want to divert our mind, and we start diverting our mind with substances, alcohol, or watching content, eating, and those things then become addictions. Detrimental activities can be, we can get into doing something which is not good for our growth. So any sadness or pain, a feeling of chronic sadness or pain, can lead to, procrastination, addictions, and all these kind of negative behavior patterns. So I'll give you an example. For example, someone had a lot of issues at home, is going through a difficult time with their spouse, or is going through separation or a divorce. Then there will be a lot of sadness or pain in that person's heart, and how it will impact their behavior in the workplaces, that their productivity will reduce. They might even start drinking every day, a lot of alcohol to bury the pain away or to hide the pain. And this is a classic example of how sadness or lingering pain inside your heart can actually lead to this inactivity. So please rate yourself on the scenario number 3, 1 being the least, 5 being the most. Okay. So now let us move to scenario number 4. which is hate leading to confusion, ignorance, or inactivity. Now, hate is a strong word. What does hate mean? Hate means I just don't like doing something. It's I dislike a particular thing. Now, at workplace, it is an example of a person being in a wrong job profile. Suppose you don't like doing some kind of work and you just are somehow working in that particular area or that work area or doing that particular role and you really don't like it. Imagine the kind of behavior that will come out. Basically, you will try to not do it. Your mind will tell you, "I hate it. Let's not do it." Or you will be try to be very ignorant about it. Like you will not think about improving the quality of your work. You'll be like, "Okay, whatever has to be done, let me just get done with over it with it, and just do it without much sophistication or quality work, right?" Or you will be very confused about like, why am I not able to do good? You know, you feel a lot of chaos or anxiety within you. So, a good example of understanding this is suppose a person who is very good in their communication skills and is a social person, but unfortunately, they are in a role in their organization where they have to be on the desk all day without having much interaction with people. Suppose they are put into data analytics. Now they just hate this role. Okay, so their productivity will suffer. They will not try to improve their work or the quality of work because they basically hate it. They will procrastinate meeting the targets or their KPIs. They will be in the state of confusion where they're like, I don't know, I just don't feel like doing it. But actually, the deeper meaning or the reason behind this is that their personality doesn't match this job profile. Therefore, it is very important to understand what your personality type is and are you at the right place? Is your personality apt or fitting in the role that you are looking for? So rate yourself if you have recently gone through any this kind such kind of a feeling and if it has really made you think about where you're like not at all productive at your work because of a kind of a dislike towards your work towards your work. Okay, so now moving to fifth scenario, which is shock and trauma leading to confusion, ignorance, or inactivity. It's a little bit similar to fourth, but shock and trauma are like uh, they're not like a very chronic thing. It's, for example, I'll give you an example. Uh, a company, suppose in your company, the CEO was just asked to leave because of some um, unethical practices that were done by the CEO. Now the board members decided to remove the CEO from the position, and there was a lot of shuffling in the company and a lot of whistleblowing, and everyone will be shocked, like, wow, what happened in the company? But as things improve, people will get back to their work and their roles, and they'll slowly start forgetting about it and will get back into their positions. But a highly sensitive person who is not emotionally balanced might go through that shock or trauma so much that they take more than what is required for an average person to get back to their performance. So they'll be like really in like shock and trauma and like feeling fearful, start feeling fearful for their own position. Am I in a safe place? Is my workplace good enough? What happened with the last CEO? I don't know. I just don't feel like working. Everyone will go through it. Initially, when that happens, everyone will be shocked. But after a certain period of time, maybe 10 days, 15 days, when a new CEO comes in and takes over the role, convinces the company it's all okay, we're going to start working properly again. But then there will be that one emotionally unregulated person who will just not be able to get over it for whatever reason, and that will lead to reduced productivity. So think of a scenario if in your recent past you had faced something like this and rate yourself. Okay, now coming to the last scenario, which is achievement, success, or entitlement leading to unreal ego and greed. Now this is a very interesting thing that most of us don't talk about. It is like this thought pattern of thinking that I'm the best, there's no one else like me, I'm the only one who can do this work, I'm irreplaceable, especially when you are actually a good worker, you're being appreciated by a company, but you take it to a level where you start thinking that there are no other people who can actually work at par to your performance. And this leads to a sense of entitlement, which can lead to a lot of unreal ego, a lot of negative attitude, and even greed, like wanting more, becoming more and more greedy for more appreciation, more rewards. And this is something which comes out in a negative behavior pattern where you start showing around a very bossy attitude, a very rude attitude towards other people, or your own work in your company is only dictated by your own personal gains of your, which boosts your unreal ego or your greed. So why I use the word unreal ego, because there is something called as real ego, which is like balanced ego. But people who go through this negative behavior patterns where the achievement and success are entitlement, positive things like achievement and success can actually lead to like situations like unreal ego and greed because of the unregulated emotional quotient of that person. So go ahead and rate yourself if you feel that you have personally gone through anything like this. Okay, so now look at the areas. You must have rated yourself on all these 6 scenarios. Look at the areas where you had higher scores, like anything more than 3, 4, 5. So now you know that these are the areas where you need to work on. So this gives you a headsway. This gives you a lead into which area or which particular emotion triggers you and makes you bring out negative behavioral pattern, and where you need to work, and get better. So let us move on to the next part of the session, where I'll take you through a small gratitude art activity. And for this, you need to have some papers, pen, pencil. If you have colors, that would be great, but it's okay if you just have a paper or pen or a pencil. And so you can pause the video, grab the stationery, and then we'll start this activity. So yeah, hi. I hope everyone has got their paper, pens, colors, whatever is available. So gratitude is very important. As before the slide, we were discussing about the negative behavioral patterns that we have within us. Now, gratitude is a beautiful emotion which grounds us. It is an emotion which makes us realize that things could have been worse. I mean, not in such a bad place, because all the negative behavior emerges from an unreal place where we think it is so bad that we start acting up in a very negative manner, whether it is being fearful of your own position, losing your own position in the company, or just not liking the work that you do and not being productive enough. So, gratitude is an activity which is aimed at making you realize what are the positive aspects of your workplace. Now, believe me, it's not easy. Sometimes it's not easy to look at the positives of a workplace, but I'm sure every workplace has some positives. So, what this does is, what this activity does is, it rewires your brain or a thinking pattern in a way where you'll start seeing some positives in your workplace, and this gives you that breathing space, that space to actually stick to your work till you find till you find a better option, or till you find the better solution to your negative behavior issues. So on this slide, you can see I have given you some art suggestions. So basically, you can I'll give you 2 element suggestions here for the activity. One is a clock and one is a flower. Now these are 2 options. You can choose either a clock or a flower. Uh, some people like drawing clocks because, and some people like drawing flowers. So I leave it up to you, whatever you are more attracted to. Why clock and flower? Because it is based on the right and the left brain activity of the brain. So some people are more towards, they're more towards they use more of their right brain. Some people are more into like inclined towards left brain activity. So it depends on your personality. So it's totally up to you. Choose one element that you like, and take some time, breathe, take take deep breaths, relax your mind, close your eyes, and see, and then see, and just decide on the one element out of clock and flower that you would like to grow and draw. So I have given some suggestions there. You can draw a clock in whatever way you like. I have given some designs. Similarly for flower, I have given some designs there. You can draw it in whatever way you like. Now, after you draw a clock and a flower, so near the every number of the clock or the spike of the clock, you can write down what what you are grateful for at your workplace. You can give the heading on your sheet for this artwork as I am grateful for my workplace for. So what are you grateful for at your workplace? For example, I've written there my office space. If you see near that clock, I put an arrow and I've written my office space. So anything else like that. You can just keep on writing it around the clock, draw some arrows or write it within the clock, wherever. Use the space as creatively as you want. Similarly for flower, you can write in each petal, what are you grateful for? So uh, this is just a creative activity. There are no hard and fast rules. You can use a pen or a pencil, whatever you like. If you want to add, throw in some colors. If you have colors available, use some colors. So just take some time, take deep breath, close your eyes, and see what would you like to draw, a clock or a flower, and then just get into this activity and write what you feel grateful for at your workplace. So you can pause the video, take as much as time you need, and let's get back after you have completed this activity. So hi, I hope everyone has created some beautiful art, either using a clock or a flower, and have written some words about what they feel grateful for at their workplace. So this kind of activity is um, very important, and I make my students do these kind of activities all the time because it really puts thoughts, things in place. This chaotic sense of things, which is thoughts or patterns, which are just running in our mind like a chaos, it settles down. We are able to write down what actually is true, what actually is real. So having a space and time and a group of people or a community where you can come together and do these guided art activities, journaling, visualizations are a beautiful way of rewiring your unconscious mind and giving you much more, giving you a clarity into understanding that what is it that I need, where I need to grow, what are my obstacles. So I just love working with these symbols, elements through art activities to help my students come over the obstacles in their mind. So with this, we are closing this beautiful session on emotional intelligence at workplace. I hope all of you liked it, and I'm once again thankful to Joshua for giving me this opportunity of discussing this interesting part of emotional intelligence, which we can approach from the point of view of art and art therapy, and archetypal stories and examples. So if you would like to know more, you can look at or talk to us or write to us or get some more information. You can see your email ID on your screen. So you can feel free to write to us here, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you and work with you. And thank you so much. Have a nice day, and hopefully we'll come up with more such sessions to become emotionally intelligent at our workplace. Thank you. Bye bye.